Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Marty Braden, and this video is one of a series of videos that I've been doing to review my book that I titled An Atheist Delusion. It's part 51. I wrote my book in response to Richard Dawkins' anti-theist, anti-Christ book that he titled The God Delusion. In its 10 chapters, Richard tries to adjudicate all of the arguments that we as atheists put forth to support our belief that God exists. As you probably know, Richard is a world-renowned atheist and an evolutionary biologist who, of course, does not believe in God. As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I responded to each of his arguments in those 10 chapters to support my perspective that God does in fact exist. In my last video, I discussed the heavenly first presidency, like I love to call them, and the divine investiture that God extended to his Son Jesus Christ, as well as to a multiplicity of angels to help with that work of the atonement that Jesus performed. So I'm going to go pick it up where I left off. Let me jump right there. Okay. The Neville-Chamberlain School of Evolution. That is the next subtitle. In this subtitle, Richard insists that the teachings of evolution in schools is in the front line trench and under constant attack of well-organized, politically well-connected, and well-financed opposition, meaning, in other words, the theists like myself and all believers who fight against such things being taught in our schools. I could say the same thing about the army of atheists that oppose the God hypothesis and how they have been working non-stop to restrict creationism and intelligent design from being taught in public schools, as well as how they're working relentlessly to destroy the promotion of intelligent design within the science community itself, saying that it doesn't qualify as a scientific theory. Now get that. How Richard's arguments against creationism and intelligent design moves the idea of God's non-existence on his scale of probability 1 iota towards the probability of his non-existence isn't clear to me yet. In fact, I think my perspective moves the God hypothesis several percentage points towards the probability that God in fact does exist due to the many discoveries of the last 50 years or so, including those that are happening all across the globe even today. You must decide for yourselves which of all the reference legs evidence that I've shared with you so far are moving you or helping your belief cursor move along the percentage of probability spectrum towards your desired belief, and which ones aren't. Does God exist or does he not? I believe your heart and core at the end of the day will tell you. Simply put, Richard's point that he tried to make in this particular subtitle is that there are evolutionists that he calls the Neville-Chamberlain School of Evolution, and that they are active fighters against creationists and creationism, yet they tend to fail in grasping the real nature of the conflict between creationists and evolutionists, religion being the real enemy, end quote. In short, these particular folks, in Richard's way of thinking, give too much appeasement, in other words, Nova acting out once again, to religion and not enough criticism of it, end quote. This is just Richard's opinion once again. I don't see how Richard's argument adds anything in the way of additional strength to or evidence to Richard's overall argument against theism or against the God hypothesis. I've read it a few times now and feel that to belabor it or give some long list of reasons that justify why creationism or intelligent design should qualify to be taught in our schools, especially if the quasi-religion of atheism qualifies, still wouldn't get us any closer to the truth about God and his existence. I'm just sad that the leadership of our public schools, institutions throughout the world, and in particular the hierarchy of public school system here in the United States, don't play fair in this regard. I believe both sides of the debate, evolution versus creationism and intelligent design, should be presented to our students, allowing them to use their own reasoning powers to come up with the decision for themselves as to what rings true for them or not. Just like Richard advocates that children should be allowed to choose what they want to believe once they are so-called old enough to determine for themselves what to believe or not to believe. It's both ways, Richard. How can young adults be fully informed if they're giving only one side of a topic to consider? How is that fair? Come on, man. This is not how science is done. One of the arguments for not allowing intelligent design or creationism to be taught in our schools is the argument that this topic falls under the separation of church and state law. That, of course, is ridiculous because the creationism or intelligent design arguments are not representing any specific religion at all. Yet to allow the quasi-anti-Christ religion of atheism, which is what it is, seems to me to be disingenuously preferential. I understand atheists say atheism is a non-religious concept, but that is disingenuous at best and an outright lie at worst. The third listed definition of religion in the Webster's dictionary defines religion as, quote, a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance, end quote. That definitely defines Richard's view of atheism perfectly. Richard ascribes to and promotes atheism religiously. Richard uses Darwin's principle of evolution as doctrinal proof for this godless quasi-religion. Anyway, I think I've made my point, so let's go on to the next subtitle, which is Little Green Men. I'm going to leave it here. We'll pick it up with the next subtitle, Little Green Men, next. Any thoughts, any comments about this defining of religion, defining of creationism, defining of intelligent design as being non-specific religious? I'd love to have your thoughts. Any questions you have, I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. But until next time, I wish you continued success. Goodbye.